Welcome to our discussion on the art and science of analyzing UFO footage. It's really fascinating how digital manipulation has reached a level where spotting the truth is a true detective work.
Yep, right. It's like with everything from blurry black and white photos in the 1940s to today's high-res smartphone videos, we've got layers to peel back.
Exactly, and it's like we need a toolkit to sift through what's genuine and what's been digitally enhanced or outright fabricated.
Yeah, So, where do you want to start? Maybe with the historical timeline?
Sure thing. Back in the 1940s and 50s, UFO documentation was mostly blurry black and white snapshots. With the technology then, verifying anything was really tough, although manipulation wasn't nearly as common because of limited tools.
Right. And then came the 60s through the 90s when video cameras brought motion, giving us a bit more detail, but also more room for trickery, especially with camcorders becoming accessible to civilians.
Yep, absolutely. And fast forward to the 2000s, and even today, smartphones have totally revolutionized our footage, both in volume and in complexity. Plus, CGI and editing software have made fabrications far more
Yeah,
convincing.
totally. What fascinates me is the reasons behind creating these fake UFO videos. It's not just making noise, but also financial and fame incentives, right?
Exactly. Some creators are chasing viral fame, monetization, sponsorships, and even just the thrill of fooling people. It's like a perfect storm of entertainment, technical skill, and a bit of social
Indeed.
experimentation.
I mean, that's a pretty clever mix, right? But doesn't that kind of undermine genuine sightings?
Well, here's the thing, it definitely muddies the waters. When sensational footage surfaces, even those with true unexplained phenomena can be dismissed due to the overload of hoaxes.
Absolutely. That's a tough spot because, on one hand, we want to be open minded, but on the other, healthy skepticism is crucial.
Yes, and that brings us to the psychology of belief, how confirmation bias and pattern recognition influence what people see. If you already believe in extraterrestrials, you're more likely to accept footage at face value, even if technical details don't add up.
Uh huh, right? And there's that interesting phenomenon where authority trust comes in, like footage backed by so called experts or government agencies gets extra credibility.
Exactly. Even when those experts might have their own agendas. It's kind of like um, it's like a magician's trick, where the audience is too focused on the flourish to see the sleight of hand.
And speaking of sleight of hand, the presentation dives into the technical tools like CGI technology that creators use to fabricate these videos. What do you think is most convincing about that?
Oh, the range of tools is impressive. 3D modeling with Blender, Cinema 4D, and Maya, camera tracking, and compositing in After Effects or Nuke. These tools allow for realistic textures, lighting effects, and even simulating physics, making even faked footage seem
Yeah,
almost
exactly.
believable.
But wouldn't you say that sometimes, even with these tools, there are red flags that can tip off an analyst, like unnatural movement or lighting inconsistencies?
Absolutely. One major red flag is when objects defy physics. For example, if they accelerate abruptly or maintain too perfect a trajectory without any environmental influence.
Right. And then there's the lighting. If shadows or reflections don't match the environmental light sources, it's a huge indicator of post production tampering.
Exactly. Red flags also include camera behavior anomalies, like focus that's too perfect, stabilization that's too clean, or digital zoom artifacts that reveal the differences between optical and
Yeah,
digital zoom.
It really shows that even a skilled fool can slip up in the details, right?
Yeah, it's like um, if you try to run too smooth a sim, nature always leaves a trace. And then there's metadata analysis, examining EXIF data, software signatures, and timestamps can often expose manipulation.
Totally. Speaking of metadata, it's almost like digital fingerprints. But I have to ask, some critics might argue that overemphasizing these technical factors could risk dismissing genuine anomalies. What's your take on that?
I see that point, and it's valid. However, scientific integrity demands that any evidence must have consistent and verifiable metadata. Without that, it's tough to rule out editing,
Agreed.
regardless of how the phenomenon might capture our imagination.
Interesting. So, besides technical analysis, narrative context plays a role too, right? Like, inconsistencies in the story behind the footage can be another indicator of fabrication.
Yes, narrative red flags are just as telling. If the eyewitness accounts change significantly or omit key details, it points to a constructed narrative rather than an organic, once-in-a-lifetime event.
Let's touch on some real-life examples. How about the Jerusalem UFO case from 2011?
Oh, that one is really instructive. The footage of a bright orb above the dome of the rock went viral quickly, but technical analysis revealed too many oddities, unnatural camera movements, inconsistent lighting, and the presence of similar editing techniques across multiple videos.
Right, indeed. And then there's the Gimbal video, the military recording that's considered genuine because it came with verified telemetry data and a solid chain of custody.
Exactly. The Gimbal video shows expected sensor behavior and consistent physics, making it a benchmark for authentic UFO footage. It's like having a gold standard that contrasts sharply with the more dubious civilian recordings.
Yeah. Now, what about the tools a regular person can use? After all, not everyone has access to high-end forensic equipment.
That's a great point. There are plenty of free tools out there. VLC for frame-by-frame analysis, EXIF tool for metadata, and even GIMP or DaVinci Resolve for enhancing footage. These empower even novice analysts to critically examine the footage.
It sounds like with enough practice, anyone can learn to differentiate genuine footage from well-crafted hoaxes.
Right, but it's important to maintain a balance between open-minded curiosity and rigorous scientific methodology, making sure we don't dismiss anomalous evidence outright while still subjecting it to thorough scrutiny.
Yeah, totally. I like that balanced approach. And it's a reminder that in the age of deep fakes and high-level CGI, what we see isn't always what it seems.
Exactly. And ethical considerations come into play here too. Misinformation, public trust, and the impact on genuine witnesses. False UFO claims can discredit serious research and even have real-life consequences for those who report authentic sightings.
True that. It's like walking a fine line, ensuring that our insistence on analytical rigor doesn't push credible witnesses into obscurity or ridicule.
Right, responsible investigation means we adhere to the evidence, regardless of our own biases, and ensure that every claim is backed by verifiable analysis.
In summary, whether it's a case study like the Jerusalem UFO or the authenticated Gimbal video, we need to use every tool at our disposal, technical, narrative, and metadata, to separate signal from noise in UFO footage.
Absolutely. And while the technology for both creating and detecting fakes is evolving, so too must our critical thinking skills. It's an ongoing conversation between art, science, and skepticism.
Yep. Well, that's a wrap for our deep dive into UFO footage detective work. It's been an enlightening conversation, balancing technology, psychology, and ethics.
Indeed, it has. Thanks for joining in on this journey. The more we learn, the better we can see through the smoke and mirrors.
Absolutely.